I anticipate there will be additional disruptions. There will be frustration. We are working with the airlines. They're going to work with passengers. But in the end, our sole role is to make sure that we keep this airspace as safe as possible. The administrator is going to talk about all of the tools we're going to deploy. One of them, though, is going to be that there is going to be a 10% reduction in capacity at 40 of our locations. The administrator is going to tell you that this is data-based. This is not based on what airline travels, has more flights out of what location. This is about where is the pressure and how do we alleviate the pressure.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Stateside Spotlight, where we break down the chaos hitting the skies right now. If you're planning a trip this holiday season, buckle up, because America's airports are on the brink.
If you're flying this weekend, like I am, get ready for a lot of delays and a lot of issues because the Trump administration has just announced that starting on Friday, they will reduce traffic at 40 airports across the United States if the shutdown continues. This is coming from the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, who said a few different things. First, he actually did not announce which airports are going to be seeing this, but it's going to be 10% of air traffic at 40 busy airports. That's kind of what we're at right now, which could affect thousands of aircraft. And then we heard from the FAA administrator, who said in a statement, "We will start to implement this drawdown in service. It will be restricted to those 40 high-volume traffic markets. We're going to ask the airlines to work with us collaboratively to reduce their schedules." Remember that air traffic controllers are still required to work during a government shutdown, though they're not getting paid. So many people right now just can't afford to go to work. And some, as we found out, are actually working for like delivery services or like Uber. And as Duffy said in the statement, we've asked air traffic controllers to show up for work, but I'm not naive to understand that they're trying to figure out how they meet their daily obligations. Airlines, by the way, were only notified an hour before the announcement, so we really don't know what airlines are going to be affected and which markets. As it pertains to me, I'm flying out of the Northeast, so more than likely, I fall within that 40 major airports. I'll be actually literally on the ground reporting for you on Sunday, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.
You're looking at massive lines at Houston's main airport. Just one more sign. The government shutdown is making air travel especially frustrating right now. Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport is telling passengers that TSA checkpoint lines could stretch 3 hours. The problem is TSA security officers are not getting paid during this government shutdown. Air traffic controllers are also in the same boat, and this past weekend was the worst for controller staffing since the shutdown began. 16,000 flight delays Friday to Sunday. This is the massive list of air traffic control facilities that had low staff on Friday. The FAA says 80% of New York controllers called out that day. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says staff shortages will get worse before they get better.
As the federal government shutdown stretches into its 35th day, the longest in history, staffing shortages are crippling air travel. Air traffic controllers and TSA screeners working without pay are calling out in droves. 80% absences in New York alone, with delays spiking at hubs like Newark, Chicago, O'Hare, and Dallas-Fort Worth. Over 4,000 flights delayed yesterday, hundreds canceled, and that's just the start.
Secretary Duffy said he will now start to cancel on ground flights next week to maintain safety. Should people fly next week given this new information, and is the administration encouraging people to stop flying altogether and look at alternative transportation modes?
The administration is encouraging Democrats to reopen the federal government so this chaos and disruption to our air traffic control system in the United States of America stops. It is ridiculous that we have even gotten to this place and that the Democrats have continued to shut down the government with 35 days, our air traffic controllers continuing to work unpaid, every single major airline in our country coming out and begging the Democrats to please reopen the government. And you had a Democrat staffer who was quoted, I believe in Politico a few weeks back, saying, short of planes falling out of the sky, we are not going to reopen the government. That is a reckless and dangerous statement from someone who didn't want to put their name on that statement, but we know it came from the Democrat Party. And I think we're very clear. We have Thanksgiving in a few weeks, and so Americans across the country need to make it very clear to their Democrat representatives that we want this government to be reopened so we can resume safe and efficient travel.
It looks like we are about to have incredibly chaotic times ahead of us. The government shutdown is impacting more and more Americans in their daily lives. When will this stop? What else has to happen in order for the politicians to see that they are hurting the same people who elected them? I will leave you with this last clip of a flight attendant giving advice to people who have to travel via airplane. Thank you for watching. Keep your bags packed and see you next time.
Today is November 4th, and it is day 35 of the government shutdown. If you are traveling, you need to know the airports that are suffering the most when it comes to this shutdown. I'm Cece, and I'm a flight attendant, and I share all things travel. I haven't been out flying in the last 5 days, but I'm getting ready to go back to work for the next week, and I'm really deciding where I'm going to fly based on which airports are having the biggest problems. I'm going to give you the top 10. I shared a video 30 days ago. The last time I went through a shutdown was in 2018, and it ended up being resolved at day 35. Somebody actually committed suicide at the Orlando airport. If you don't remember, it was really bad. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go to the National Airspace System Status website, and they're going to tell you where the delays are expected and where they're actually occurring. I'll put that website in the comments so you can look it up. So back to the top 10 airports that are having the biggest issues right now. And that could be TSA or it can be ATC related. Number 1 is Newark. Number 2 is LaGuardia. And number 3 is JFK. Then we have our Texas airports, Dallas and Houston. I don't know if you saw the video, but 3-hour wait for TSA yesterday. Chicago, Orlando, and Denver are also having issues. And in California, we have San Francisco and LAX. If you are flying out one of those airports, you need to give yourself ample time to get through TSA, okay? The stress these people are under, going every day, not receiving paychecks. Yes, they will eventually be paid, but who can go 35 days without a check?